Have you heard a word constructor before? Today, you will learn which special method is a constructor. Is it init special method or is it new special method? Hello coders, welcome to my channel. I'm David, your guide to mastering programming. Before I reveal what is the answer, I'll explain each method and their differences. I'll start with init method. To demonstrate how those methods work, I'll create a class and name it number. This class will simply store some number. When creating an object, you usually want to initialize it right away. For that instance, we use init special method. Init special method has an object itself as a first parameter. That is this purple self parameter. The name doesn't have to be self, but that is the Python convention, and I recommend you to stick with the name self. After that, you can pass as many parameters as you want, but in my case, I want just one. Then I'll create an instance object with name n, and it will have the value of n that I passed. Now when I create object num, I'll write the name of my class and here pass the number that I want, 3. Now this num instance will have this attribute instance n with value 3. When I print num.n, I expect to see 3. But before I run this code, I want to explain how this init works. After the object is created, this init method is called to initialize its value. You don't have to call that init function because it automatically gets the value from the parentheses of this class. And this num instance is passed as the first parameter automatically. Now, when I run this code, 3 is printed just like I expected to. Init method is used to initialize attributes of instances. Also, important thing to mention is that init method returns nothing. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. Thanks for your support. New special method is a method that creates an object. It is the first method called when creating an object. It's called before init. The new method has its own default body, and when you write your own new method, you overwrite the Python's default code. So when I write here init, I mean new, and then you will see this blue circle with this red arrow to tell you that you are overwriting the new special method. New special method, like init, has a special first parameter, but in this case it's a class, not an object itself. And these two parameters are a default because with these parameters you catch any number of parameters that you pass. With this, you catch the positional arguments, and with this, you catch all the keyword arguments. If you don't have any arguments, you can remove this, but in many cases you have, so it's a recommendation to stick with this. This new method also has to return something, unlike this init method, which doesn't. So it returns instance that it creates. So you need to return the instance. But creating an instance is not that simple. First, you need to write this super function and then write a dot and then call a new special method again, and now pass the class itself. This way, you called an already built-in new special method that creates an instance and returns it. Also, to prove you that this new special method is called before this init special method, I'll print creating, and I will here print initializing. So now, when I run this code, I first expect to see creating, then initializing, and then the value of this instance attribute n, which is 3. When I run this code, creating is printed first, initializing is printed second, and 3 is printed third. New is only used when you want to have more control when creating an instance, or when you want to create a singleton. Singleton is a class that only has one object. I will create a special video explaining just that. The difference between init and new is that init is used to initialize attributes and is called after new is called, and it returns nothing, while new is called when creating a new object and returns an instance. Now that you know everything about init and new special method, You need to learn the definition of constructor to make the final decision. Which of the two is the real constructor? A constructor is a special type of function called to create an object. Since the definition of constructor matches that of a new method, then it means new is a real constructor in Python, while init is just an initializer. I hope you found this video helpful. Like and subscribe for more coding content. See you in my next video. Until then, keep coding.